So as we have learned the previous day that the electron transport chain is responsible for transferring of electrons and maintaining the proton balance across the inner membrane. So that way what we actually get is ultimately due to those proton, the transfer of the proton across this membrane, this ATP is generated by the ATP synthase enzyme. Now that is actually the place where we find the main energy generation is occurring, because a large abundance of energy generation it does take place in that particular point of time. But this entire electron transport chain is dependent on the other processes, the previous all processes or all steps of the respiration, and is from where we get different byproducts which are going to be responsible for this transit or the transfer of the this protons across the membrane. Like for instance, if you remember that this like first step, the complex one is actually oxidizing the NADH back to NAD, and at that very moment it is not only releasing the electron but also is responsible for transfer of proton from the across the membrane. So that way it's like NAD, which is NADH, which is being produced in the process of glycolysis, is now means the NAD which was reduced in the process of glycolysis is now getting oxidized back in this particular step, so that it can go back to the glycolysis step again. So that way every single of the step means complex 1, complex 2, complex 3, all of them, each and every one of them are somehow responsible for uh, movement of like proton across the membrane from one side to the other side. And all these protons that are getting accumulated right here now, all these protons are going to be transferred, because you can see right there, there is this proton getting transferred to the other side, and during that transfer there is ATP production that is taking place right there. And that is the purpose of the ATP synthase. That way the balance of the protons or balance of H plus ion on the either side of this membrane is actually going to be maintained. It's going to be regulated by this entire setup, and that is crucial also. But as we know, the main purpose of the process of the respiration is generation of energy from the process of like from any food, whatever food we can do, like we consume. From that this or the cell, rather, if you consider the cell consume, then from that all of those food is going to get converted into like energy. Now since I mentioned it like that way, so I think like it should elaborate it slightly, that this process of respiration or this process of generation of energy, it is not exclusive for the plant kingdom, but rather this process is for every single living organism. Wherever we find aerobic respiration is going on, every single type of living organism we are going to find, be that a single cell organism or be that multicellular, it doesn't matter, but we're going to find that within their cell this is the method of like aerobic respiration that is taking place. Okay, now coming to the topic, as we know that the process of glycolysis is the first step, and the process of glycolysis is going to generate 4 electron, as you know, I mean sorry, 4 ATP, as we know. So 4 ATP because the entire process of the energy harvesting step, the entire this particular step is actually responsible for production of 4 ATP altogether. But the previous step, which is the energy investing state or the preparatory phase, is during which we are going to find that 2 of the ATP will also be getting consumed. So ultimately that will lead to like net ATP production from this entire step being only 2. So that way we can say that there are 2 ATP that are being produced in the process of glycolysis. Then after that, whatever like pyruvate is there, pyruvate is getting converted to acetyl, and then acetyl, it actually enters into the mitochondria, where we find the Krebs cycle process is going on, where by 2 different methods the ATP is being produced. One is the substrate level phosphorylation, where we find that ATP is generated in the step right there from alpha ketoglutarate to succinate production. During that portion time only ATP is produced per like 1 ATP per acetyl molecule, and the rest of them are actually produced by NADH and FADH2, whatever are being produced. All of them, they go to the membrane, where the membrane, that electron transport chain, is going to be responsible for the generation of the rest of the ATP. So now let's see what is the balance sheet, means how many ATPs are actually being produced. So, considering one glucose being the main energy source in every single living organism or in our body, in the plant also, so we are going to find that the process of glycolysis is producing 2 ATP, as it has been already shown to you, already mentioned. So it is like production of 2 ATP with the formation of 2 pyruvic acid or 2 pyruvate. Now from that we get 2 acetyl CoA, and during that process we are going to find that in the process of glycolysis 2 NADH is produced, and in the process of acetyl CoA formation, means that that intermediate step of conversion of pyruvate to acetyl CoA, 2 more ATP will be found to be formed. Alright, so once we see that, then from there the entire acetyl CoA will enter the Krebs cycle process, and in the Krebs cycle process we are going to get total 6 NADH being produced and a total of 2 FADH2 being produced. Now we have to keep in mind, per NADH molecule is actually responsible for formation of 2 ATP. Means one NADH is going to be like the time this NADH getting oxidized to NAD, during that time there is 2 ATP that will be formed. Okay, so if we consider in that particular point, well, here again you are going to see slight variation, because here it is shown 3 ATP that is shown here, and that is also true that NADH is able to like lead to the formation of 3 ATP also, and sometimes it is considered 2 to 3 ATP that is being produced there. Alright, so we are going to find that there are altogether 3 ATP that is getting 2 to 3 ATP that is being produced there. So we are going to find right here, like we are getting 4 ATP, here we are getting 6 ATP altogether, it's all total, and then we are getting from here 18 ATP, and one FADH2 is responsible for 2, so we are getting 4 ATP out there. Means the oxidation of FADH2 leads to formation of 2 ATP, because 2 protons are released in that particular process, and 2 protons are going to lead to formation of like 2 ATP. Alright, so 2 FADH2, that means 4 ATP is produced. Now glycolysis itself is producing 4 ATP right there, isn't it? So 4 ATP altogether in the process of glycolysis we are getting. And one more thing is that we are going to get one more step, like the Krebs cycle itself, 2 more ATP is produced. If you remember, it was like in the form of GTP that is produced, and I mentioned that GTP itself will donate the third phosphate to a adenosine diphosphate, making it adenosine triphosphate. So that means GTP will convert into ATP, or will lead to formation of ATP. So it is a simple substrate level phosphorylation that is going on. Both this portion we are seeing that substrate level phosphorylation is taking place, means within the substrate only, during the conversion of the substrate we are finding the formation of ATP is taking place. But the other step, the one which are marked in yellow, are actually the one which is being produced in the process of in the process of oxidative phosphorylation. Though like here it is shown like that, because in this place it is like 2 ATP that is getting consumed. So here 4 ATP that is produced and 2 ATP is getting consumed. So we have to balance that out. Now let me tell you something. NADH is usually, like here it is written 4 definitely, but you can consider it in the term of 3 NADH, 1 NADH producing 3 ATP, like that. Okay, so you can consider it like that way. So in that context we are actually going to get 6 ATP coming out from this particular step. So when we see that there are 6 ATP coming out from this step, and altogether when we add the entire thing out, we are going to get a net ATP yield of 36 to 38 ATP coming out per glucose molecule. Okay, means one glucose molecule is responsible for production of total 36 to 38 ATP. That depends on like how many of the ATP is going to be produced while converting the NADH or while oxidizing the NADH molecule. So depending on that, the number can vary, but it is most of the time that we find that the range is actually calculated that the range is around 36 to 38 ATP. So this is like the production. This is how many like ATP is being produced in per breaking down or metabolism of the glucose via respiration step. And thus we consider that the process of aerobic respiration, it is quite energetic, and that is the one that is being preferred by maximum amount of organism in the entire world. But not only that, some alternative method also goes on, like even in our body, whenever we have an oxygen deprived situation, our muscle tissue, which are actually always in a constant need of ATP for the movement of muscles, they actually enter or they actually start anaerobic respiration instead of aerobic respiration whenever the situation is such that oxygen supply is limited. So that time when we see that the anaerobic respiration is going on, the glucose will get converted to pyruvic acid yet again, just by the process of glycolysis. There is no stopping there. But then the entire thing will switch to lactic acid formation, means lactic acid fermentation, because the aerobic respiration which is supposed to happen where oxygen is involved, if you remember, in the electron transport system at the very last step, and without that the entire process cannot actually like carry out, because as you know, electrons will be generated and electron needs to be processed properly, otherwise the process will completely stop. So that electron transport chain cannot cannot actually happen. So if that system is completely shut down, then the entire Krebs cycle is also shut down. And if the Krebs cycle is shut down, there is no way, not only the Krebs cycle, even like the ETS pathway is not being like taking place properly, then there is no way of oxidation of NADH is going to take place. And that NAD is required, means oxidation of NADH which produce the NAD is required for the glycolysis step, means glycolysis will completely stop if electron transport system is stopped. So that will be very bad, because glycolysis is required for metabolism of the glucose and also production of ATP. So what will happen? An alternate method developed, and that is the fermentation step, where during fermentation, by fermentation, the conversion of pyruvic acid to lactic acid, NADH is oxidized to NAD plus, and that NAD plus will then enter into the glycolysis. So that means by that particular way, it is continuously recycling of the NADH and NAD plus is taking place, and that way we can say that the process of glycolysis can at least continue. And since fermentation, its main target is conversion of NAD, or actually production of NAD plus, you can say. So that means this process is not going to produce any ATP. Thus we are going to find the only source of ATP coming out is from the process of glycolysis itself. That's why it is said that anaerobic respiration produces only 2 ATP per glucose molecule, net 2 ATP per glucose molecule, and it is not as energy efficient as that, or energy producing rather, or energy yielding also we can say, like that of the aerobic respiration, where per glucose molecule is giving us around 36 to 38 ATP. So here lies the difference and between the aerobic and the anaerobic process of respiration. But whenever it is necessary, like in many of the plants and many of animals, even in like animals, in human only, like both the processes are possible, because the cell, they require ATP, and it is by one way or other the ATP is going to be produced.